Saints, I'm Nick Coop.
And I'm Jacob Talley.
And this is SFHS Today. In national news, the U.S. lost a hero, Lawrence Brooks. The oldest World War II veteran died last Wednesday at the solid age of 112, according to NPR News.
From one military story to another, Anna Hayter and Abby Ferrario went out to talk to 2021 graduate Jared Hayter about his military experience.
2021.
What did you do after you graduated?
Went into the Army.
Why did you join the Army?
Didn't want to pay for college debt and didn't know what I wanted to do, so figured Army would pay for college, figured out what I wanted to do while I was there.
What do you do in the Army?
11 Charlie, infantry mortar. I do everything 11 Bravo does, plus I carry mortars around, drop those now and then. In Fort Hood, Texas. I spent the last 22 weeks in Fort Benning, Georgia. Actually, like 24, because when you go to basic, there's like 2 weeks before you actually get to where you're going to be doing basic. I graduated basic the 3rd, December 3rd, and then same day got sent to Fort Hood.
If you looked around the school on Wednesday, you'll see many teachers are wearing red. So a few of our reporters went out and asked a few teachers why they wear red.
Mind telling us about the negotiation process?
Sure, we're in the middle of a lot of negotiations going on right now. Teachers are going on, principals, all of our different work groups do negotiations. And how that process basically goes is, the group comes in, usually with the director of human resources. That's his job to create contracts and have contract talks with different groups. Sometimes I'm involved, sometimes I'm not. The business manager is also sometimes involved and sometimes not. But the one person that's always there is the chief negotiator for whatever group is there, representing the group, because you don't have all of the custodians come in or all of the bus drivers. They choose someone to come in and negotiate for them. And then it's Mr. Nelson, the Director of Human Resources. So then everyone brings items to the table. And it's usually a work group coming in and they talk about, it might be pay, it might be benefits. Right now we have a lot of conversation about health benefits and things like that. And so groups are oftentimes trying to make their contract better or what their group needs. Some groups needed something in 1990 that they certainly don't need now. Things like that. So things change all the time, and that's why contracts are usually 2 years. The one exception to that is my contract, believe it or not. I get a 3-year contract, so they only have to negotiate with me every 3 years.
Are you wearing red on Wednesday?
So one of the reasons that we're wearing red on Wednesday is to bring kind of more publicity and notice towards the teacher negotiation process. I'm the lead negotiator for the teachers, and we currently are working without a contract. And what that means is our contract expired in July, and we're fighting for equitable pay raises in this next round of negotiations with the district. And one of the ways we can do that is by bringing some visibility by wearing red on Wednesdays. We'll be taking other work actions later on in the school year.
Reporter Kayla Gagner went out to talk to counselors about registrations for next year.
Students register for next year's classes.
So kind of like what we did during our presentations that we had this week, students will need to follow the presentation we had and request through Infinite Campus.
When is the deadline for registration?
The deadline is a week from today, so it will be January 14th.
Why aren't we using the academic planner anymore?
So the academic planner is a great tool with getting an idea of students thinking about what they want to do while they're in high school. Some of the difficulties that can come up is students want to change their mind. And that's the great thing about looking forward at your future is it's a journey. You can change what you are interested in and what you may want to do. This is a way of keeping classes relevant, and this is something that as a department we wanted to try and hopefully will work better than the academic planner.
In the last episode of Are You Smarter Than Dalton? Dalton sadly took a loss. Let's see if he can better his luck this time.
Hey Saints, welcome back to Are You Smarter Than Dalton? Today's contestant is Drew Anderson.
Who painted the Mona Lisa?
Leonardo da Vinci.
Correct. 1 point for Dalton. What is the nearest planet to the sun?
Mercury.
Correct. Drew with 1 point. What do you call a baby goat?
A kid.
Correct. Dalton with 2 points. How many tentacles does an octopus have?
8.
Correct. Dalton wins.
Hey, Saints, I'm Brody Wyan.
And I'm Eric Wickman.
And this is Sports. In national sports news, last Sunday, Tampa Bay Buccaneers receiver Antonio Brown was seen taking off his gear in the middle of the game and running to the locker room against the New York Jets. Brown is claiming he was dealing with an ankle injury and was forced to play by head coach Bruce Arians. Arians said he kicked Brown off the field for refusing to enter the game.
The boys basketball team traveled to Centennial last Tuesday to take on the Cougars and fell short by 2 points. Junior Matthew Bothwin returned from injury last week. Lauren Perry and Grace Goldquist went to talk to him.
Undergo surgery.
I had to get my gallbladder removed because it was causing me pain.
While recovering, what was it like not being able to play?
It kind of sucked to just sit on the sidelines, but I was able to just cheer on my teammates.
Your first games back were played at the Granite City Classic. How did those games go for you?
They were all right. I was still worried about getting hit in my stomach and stuff, but the pain was pretty little.
As a teammate and player, what are you hoping to accomplish the rest of the season?
Just keep having fun, working hard, and getting wins.
Girls basketball played home today against the Tartan Titans and picked up their second win of the season. Our reporters went out to talk to some of the players about their season.
How's the season going so far?
Not the best, but definitely improving.
What's your upcoming schedule looking like?
We have a doubleheader versus Princeton at Princeton on Tuesday.
And then what are you looking forward to in the rest of the season?
Bonding with the rest of the team and hopefully getting a couple more wins.
And how is it being one of the few seniors on the basketball team?
It's a very rewarding feeling being one of the only seniors on the team because you have all the other girls looking up to you.
And then what are some things you would tell some younger basketball players?
Something I would tell some of the younger basketball players is that you have to have hard work and dedication in order to have success.
And then what are some things you're looking forward to for the rest of the season?
I'm looking forward to making better friendships with my teammates and hopefully putting a few more W's on.
The boys hockey team lost a tough game to Princeton on Thursday and played on Saturday against the Highland Park Scots, coming out with a win. Our reporters went out and talked to the hockey boys about their games.
What place did you guys take?
5th place. I think we could have done better. I think the first game was definitely a letdown. We haven't really played similarly at all, but we did play all right for the whole weekend.
How do you feel the team's energy was against Princeton?
I feel like it was pretty unmatched. We were riding high from the Marshall game, and it was kind of overall just a Poggers moment.
Do you feel that the energy that the team had helped you play the game you played?
I believe so, yeah. It just felt like the guys were giving it their all, and everyone was trying their hardest. I think that encouraged everyone else on the team to just keep pushing.
With track season coming up in the spring, track coach Mr. Bremer is starting a winter running club to prepare runners for the season. Reporters Jacob Renfro and Emily Pipp went out and talked to Bremer.
Start a running club. I want to start a running club because it's a thing that I'm passionate about, and I know there's students in our school system that are passionate about running, and it's a really satisfying and fulfilling lifelong hobby and passion to have, and I wanted to just help share that and build that up in our students.
When and where will the club be taking place?
The club will meet here in my classroom, D217. Most days we will we'll go outside to run. I know that is that's the killer for a lot of kids, but it's there's only one way to become faster, and that's usually the hard way.
Will it be competitive?
Running is always competitive in the sense that you're competitive with yourself, and we set things up with our winter running program so that there's kind of a fun level of competition between folks. There aren't like competitions that we go to or anything like that. But we compete with ourselves. We compete with one another in kind of a fun, good-natured sort of way.
How does it compare to track?
So the nice thing about winter running, the nice thing about distance running in general, or sprinting, is that it's going to make you better at whatever physical activity you're trying to do. The best football team I've ever seen was not only strong, but it was fast. The best basketball team I've ever seen, not only strong, but fast, right? And so it helps develop athletes no matter where their interests are. And this is kind of a fairly laid back atmosphere compared to being on an actual competitive team. But there's a lot of opportunities to kind of like learn and grow as far as being just like a physical health.
St. Francis hosted a gymnastics meet last Thursday against Monticello.
This Tuesday, the boys and girls basketball teams will be hosting a doubleheader against the Princeton Tigers. The boys will play at 5:30 and the girls at 7:15. This event will be held for our activities director Brian Juleson's son Carter. There will be t-shirts for sale, raffles, and donation buckets to raise funds for the Juleson family.
If you are unable to attend on Tuesday, there will be a link to an online store to purchase Communities for Carter items on the SFHS Media Instagram. That's all we have for you this week.
Now back to Coop and Tatley.
Before we leave, Tatley and I here interviewed our very own Superintendent Beth Keys on what qualifies for a snow day.
So with our recent cold weather snap, a lot of students have been contacting you, we've heard, but also we're wondering as a school, what is the process of making the decision for a 2-hour delay to cancellation?
Right. I often joke about it, but it is probably one of the most serious decisions we make, and I don't take it lightly. I think people think that I just make a decision, or I watch the weather, the 5 o'clock news, and I just make my decision. I don't. Even earlier this week, I was out driving at 3 a.m., and then I drove another loop at 4 a.m., and believe it or not, we have to make that decision by 4:30.
Oh, wow.
Bus drivers start coming in and leaving their homes around 5. So that decision, if you see it on social media or any of those things, I put it out as soon as I make my decision. But I really try hard to make it by 5 at the very, very latest. Anything after that, we've got food coming in for the day, deliveries are being made. It's just really unfortunate, but it's earlier than most people think it needs to be. And what I'm mostly looking for is, road conditions, blizzard conditions. Our buses are like tanks. They can get through a lot of snow. But if blizzard conditions are there, that's going to slow them down. And then kids are outside waiting and things like that. So that's the process on that. If there's ever a chance I can make it the night before, I always do that. If we know it's going to be a statewide, everything's being canceled, there's 12 feet of snow coming, those are the dream ones, because I can just do it the night before. But otherwise, I do go out and I do personally drive those routes along with the transportation folks. And then I converse with all the area superintendents. We make a decision, not for each other, but we kind of talk about what we're going to do. And then we put that information out there. I do not like early releasing. People always ask me why, and it's because my first year as a superintendent, 14 years ago, I had a kindergartner we early released, got to their house, and couldn't get in.
Oh no.
And it still to this day haunts me, that a 5-year-old was waiting to get into their home and couldn't get in. And so early releases are really last resort. Late starts I'm okay with. I don't often do them because they don't really solve the problem.
Yes.
If it's negative 30 and at 10 o'clock it's going to be negative 29, for me, that doesn't make a lot of sense. We just lost 2 hours of instruction, and for what? It kind of throws everything off. You're eating lunch the minute you get here. It just doesn't do a lot of good for the most part. So that's the process I use. What you're probably referencing, and I'm getting a lot of calls on, is cold days. I use the parameters of negative 25 air temperature. Those happen quite often in the state of Minnesota, believe it or not. But when we hit them, we have to think about kids being outside for prolonged time. And then I use wind chills of negative 35 to negative 40 as kind of my gauge. Now that differs if it's icy,
Yep.
if it's, a lot of snow, if there's blizzard conditions, then I'm gonna err closer on the side of -35 for wind chills. So those are the parameters I use. I wish I had a crystal ball. I hate when I cancel school and then it's sunny in the afternoon,
Yep.
People also ask how many days we have built into our calendar, and it's 2. Anything more than that, by law, we have to bring the kids back in. Seniors, you're off the hook. You could probably have 10 of them and you'd be okay. You're gonna graduate either way. But the state does require us to have so many student contact days. So that's what I know on snow days, and I wish I could tell people, and I understand why they email me and they call me, but I do the absolute best I can, and I do take it very seriously.
That's all we have for you this week.
Stay safe, Saints.